Welcome to my Chanel USA Hope and Heart. Tonight's story is one that will touch your heart, stay in your memory, and remind you that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness create miracles that echo for a lifetime. So sit back, open your heart, and let this cinematic story unfold. The boy first came to Rosie's diner on a cold November morning. He was 11, thin, pale, shoulders hunched forward like someone already used to carrying burdens too heavy for his age. His shoes were torn, his jacket was the kind you wear in spring, not winter. But what people remembered most was his eyes, quiet, observant, and filled with a hunger far deeper than the hunger in his stomach. His name was Evan. In Rosie's diner, the warm, noisy, ordinary little corner shop on Benton Street, became the only place in the world where he felt safe. Every morning before school, Evan would push the door open gently, letting the jingle of the entrance bell announce him. And every morning, Rosie, the gray-haired owner with a heart as wide as the Midwest sky, would smile at him like he was her own grandson. "Morning, sweetheart," she'd say. "Sit down. I'll bring you breakfast." He never asked for food. Never. But she always brought it anyway. Pancakes one day, scrambled eggs the next, a warm muffin when things were tight. He always tried to pay with whatever coins he had. She always tapped his hand gently and pushed the money back. "You'll pay me back someday. Just focus on growing." But Rosie didn't know the full truth, not yet. Evan was homeless. His mother had died 2 years earlier. His father, broken by grief and addiction, disappeared shortly after. Since then, Evan had been living in shelters, abandoned buildings, and sometimes, on the streets. He didn't tell anyone. He was afraid if people knew, they'd send him to foster care, where he imagined being separated from the memory of his mother. His only comfort was Rosie's diner, a place warm enough to thaw the cold edges of his life. But everything changed the day the millionaire walked in. For 23 years, Rosie's diner had served truck drivers, schoolteachers, tired parents, and kids coming home from baseball practice. But no one expected Daniel Carter, one of the richest real estate developers in the state, to walk through those glass doors. He came quietly, wearing a simple coat, alone, no security team. He looked exhausted, as if the world had taken more from him than money could replace. Pain has many faces. His was the silent kind. When Daniel sat down at a booth, the staff whispered to each other. "Is that him? The one from the news? The billionaire who lost his wife last year?" "Yes, that's him. Poor man. He ordered nothing at first. Just stared out the window, fingers wrapped around a cup of black coffee. He looked like someone who needed a place to breathe." That was the moment Evan walked in, shivering from the November wind. Daniel's eyes followed the boy. Something about the sight pulled at him, maybe the jacket too thin for the cold, maybe the way the boy clutched his school bag like it held everything he owned. Or maybe Daniel simply recognized loneliness when he saw it. After all, he had been drowning in his own. Rosie came out from behind the counter and greeted the boy. "Cold day, huh?" she said warmly. Evan nodded, rubbing his arms. "Sit, sweetheart. I'll get you something hot." Daniel watched closely. Rosie placed a plate of warm eggs and toast in front of the boy. Evan's eyes softened. Gratitude glowed through them. He whispered, "Thank you," as if those 2 words carried more weight than anyone could imagine. But when Evan reached into his pocket to pull out a couple of coins, Rosie shook her head. "Not today." Daniel frowned slightly. Why would a child try to pay for food like that? Why wouldn't his parents provide for him? Something felt wrong. Something felt familiar. He had once been that kid, hungry, unnoticed, desperate for a break. The next morning, the millionaire returned. And the next. He always sat in the same corner booth, always watched Rosie hand the boy breakfast, always saw Evan try to hide his hunger behind politeness. Until one day, as Evan got up to leave for school, Daniel approached him. "Hey there," he said gently. "You must be a regular here." Evan stiffened, as kids do when adults they don't know speak to them. "Yes, sir," he replied quietly. Daniel's voice was soft. "I've been noticing you. You come early, always alone, and you're always so polite." Evan stared at his shoes. Daniel knelt down slightly so they were eye level. "Is everything okay at home?" For a moment, Evan's mask cracked. Just a tremble, just enough for Daniel to see the truth leaking through. But the boy quickly straightened. "Yes, sir. Everything's fine." Daniel didn't push further. He simply said, "You remind me of myself at your age." And that was the beginning of a connection neither of them expected. That afternoon, the millionaire stayed after the diner closed. Rosie recognized him right away. "You're Daniel Carter," she said softly. He nodded, offering a tired smile. "What brings someone like you to my tiny diner?" Daniel hesitated. His voice was low, almost broken. "My wife loved small places like this," he said. "We used to eat in diners during road trips. After she passed, I stopped going anywhere. Until I found yours." Rosie's eyes softened. "I'm sorry for your loss." Daniel nodded, swallowing the heaviness in his throat. Then he added, "And the boy, Evan. What's his story?" Rosie shook her head. "He never tells me much. But I know pain when I see it. He's struggling, Daniel, really struggling." It was then Daniel felt an old ache rise inside him, the one he had carried since he was a child, sleeping in abandoned buildings, eating leftovers, wondering if anyone in the world cared. He had lost so much in life, but maybe he could save someone from losing everything. The next morning, things took a turn. Evan didn't come. The bell never jingled. His smile never appeared. The seat he always took remained empty. Rosie paced behind the counter. "Something's wrong," she kept saying. "He's never missed a day." Daniel felt his heart twist. "I'll look for him," he said immediately. He grabbed his coat and left, rushing through the cold streets. He searched alleys, bus stops, the small playground near the school. No sign of him, just wind, silence, and the growing fear that he was too late. Then he saw it, behind an abandoned warehouse, a little figure curled beside a dumpster, hugging himself for warmth. "Evan." Daniel ran to him. The boy tried to sit up, but his lips were blue, his hands trembling violently. He had spent the night outside. "Why are you here?" Daniel whispered, wrapping his coat around him. Evan's voice cracked. "I lost the spot I was sleeping in, someone else took it, and I didn't know where to go." Daniel felt something break inside him, something deep, something long buried. "No more," he said quietly. "You're not sleeping outside again. Not ever." Daniel rushed him to the diner. Rosie cried when she saw the boy's condition. "Oh, my poor child," she said, pulling him close and warming his hands with hers. Daniel stayed by the boy's side the whole time. After Evan finished eating, Daniel looked him in the eyes and spoke with gentle firmness. "Evan, you don't have to hide anymore. Tell me the truth. Tell me everything." For the first time, the boy let the walls fall. He told Daniel about his mother, the way she used to sing while combing his hair. He told him about his father disappearing, about sleeping in cold places, about being afraid every night, about surviving on Rosie's kindness. By the time he finished, tears were running down both Rosie's and Daniel's cheeks. Daniel placed a steady hand on the boy's shoulder. "You're coming with me," he said softly. "You're not alone anymore." The next few weeks were like stepping into a different universe for Evan. He moved into a warm guest room in Daniel's home. He got new clothes. He slept in a real bed, a soft one that didn't shake or creak or feel like the world might swallow him. Daniel hired tutors for him, brought him to therapy, put him into school properly. But most importantly, he gave him what he had lost: family. Rosie visited often, bringing cookies and fussing over him until he laughed, something he hadn't done in years. The boy grew healthier, stronger, more confident. And Daniel, who had felt like a ghost ever since losing his wife, found purpose again. Sometimes, they sat on the porch together at sunset. Evan would say softly, "Why did you help me?" And Daniel would answer, "Because once, someone helped me. And I promised myself that if I ever had the power, I'd do the same for another lost kid." Years passed. Evan thrived. He graduated school with honors, won scholarships, and later opened a foundation for homeless children, a dream he created from the pain he grew up with and the love he finally received. At the opening ceremony, now 18, he stood at the podium. His voice trembled, not from fear, but from gratitude. "I was a hungry boy once," he said. "A boy no one noticed. Except two people, Rosie, who fed me every day, and Daniel, who saved my life. Everything I am, is because kindness found me." The audience gave him a standing ovation. Daniel wiped tears from his eyes. Rosie, older now, held her hands to her chest, smiling with pride as if she were watching her own child rise into the world. And even today, if you walk into Rosie's diner, you'll find a framed picture on the wall. A young boy, smiling, with Daniel's arm around him. Underneath it, a small plaque reads, "One meal can save a life. One act of kindness can change the world." And in many ways, it already had. If this story touched your heart, if kindness is something you believe in, if you want more cinematic emotional stories like this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This is USA Hope and Heart, signing off with love.